Hi everyone, welcome to So You Want to Start a Business from Home. This presentation is for people who want to start a handmade product business from home. It's also mostly geared toward people who are in the US, so make sure you check your country's regulations before you follow this advice. And even if you aren't from the US, you'll have to check your state and local regulations to make sure you're compliant with those. Now, starting a business from home can be really smart, but it does have its pitfalls. It's smart because you save a lot of money on starting because you're not paying rent for a building. It also saves on commuting time and expenses over going someplace every day, and it allows you more freedom than if you had a facility. However, there are pitfalls that you have to work around. So one pitfall that's going to be very hard to work around is if your local regulations prohibit you from starting a business from home. Some have that allow you to start businesses from home, but they prohibit manufacturing. Other towns prohibit businesses at all. So make sure you check those first before you start, because you don't want to put all the effort into starting and then find out that you can't continue. Also, you're going to have a lot of distractions. Working from home includes, you'll be seeing those dishes in the sink, or the laundry needs to be done, the room needs to be painted, whatever it is, you'll be seeing that. And so you have to plan for how you're going to work and get your work done without letting that bother you and stopping you from working. You will encounter space limitations from an at-home business, particular production-based business. So you might find at some point you'll have to move out, but it can be a great place to start. Another thing that often happens is that people don't recognize that you're working, and they think if you're home, you're available. So you will have to address that, figure out how you're going to handle that, and be firm about what you do. So, starting a successful business of any kind requires planning and goal setting. Some of the important considerations that you'll have to make are these. You have to think about what kind of business do you want? Do you want a retail business? Do you want a wholesale, private label, white label, contract manufacturing business? What is it that would make you happy and allow you to work from home the longest, or what's your final goal in your business career? So think about how big you want to get. Oh, and about the retail, wholesale, private label, and all that. They're each one type of business, so you'll want to look into those before you start doing that for anyone so that you don't make mistakes. It's really important to figure those out. It's a little beyond the scope of this presentation, though. So you have to think about how big you want to get in the end. Do you want to have retail stores? Then you're going to have to find, maybe you work through other stores, wholesale through other stores until you get the funds to start, look for a retail space of your own and start your own store if that's what you want. Maybe you just want to wholesale through other stores, that's fine. But think about how big you want to get. How much money do you want to make? What do you want to gross and net in a year's time? And what will it take to get there? Think about how much you have to sell to get to the point where you want to get. And make, yearly predictions and goals. Set ideas for how much you want to make this year, how much you want to make this month, and such. So then you have to think about how much of that you can actually do at home. So you might think, well, I can work from my home until I start grossing $100,000 a year. And at that point, I will have exceeded my capacity and I will need to find a space. So it's really important for you to think about. So the next thing you have to think about, and this is something that I see people not doing, but it will make your business so much easier if you take time to plan and think about this. You want to think about who is your customer? You have to think about who the person is, their gender, their ethnicity, their age, their buying habits, what they like to do, what they like to do with their free time, and any information you can gather about them will help you in deciding what kind of products to sell them. So you will think about, well, what does that person want or need? What can I fulfill for them? And by knowing this, you'll know what kind of products to make, you'll know what sizes, you'll know the colors you want to use, you'll know what kind of packaging, even down to the font of your labels. So keep all that in mind and formulate what you want for that person that you know that they are going to want to buy from you. And it will also help you decide on how you will market to that person, because you'll know where they're going to go for information and how you can reach them. So at home, you are going to have to plan your space. And, say you want to start by just making products and going to craft sales. And that is how a lot of people start, and it's fine to do. So set out your space. Where are you going to manufacture? Where are you going to keep your supplies? Where are you going to keep your finished product? All these things are very important to plan out in the beginning and make it a usable situation. Don't expect miracles. You have to really plan it all out. Okay, so be calculating and realistic. Don't just think, well, I don't know, I'll figure it out when time comes. Figure out each step, figure out a step ahead, and have long-term goals in mind. Also, you have to figure out what kind of business you want. Do you want to be a sole proprietor, or do you want to have some kind of corporation or a partnership? You'll have to decide which of these works for you. Now, it's actually very simple. Get yourself started up in business, or set up, I should say, in business. You just have to choose a business name. You're going to look for that name other places to make sure that you're not taking somebody else's name. I suggest that if you want to have a nationwide presence, that you make sure that nobody else in your nation has your name. Make sure it's not trademarked. In the U.S., you would look through the USTPO to make sure that nobody has your name, and make sure it's available for you. I would also suggest that you not pick anything that's close to something that already exists, because bigger companies are likely to go after you for having a name that's close to theirs. And if you have to fight it, you're going to start out by paying a lot of money to an attorney to help you fight that. So if you pick something that's very unique, you won't have that to worry about. Also, you're going to have to get a tax ID or an EIN number. A tax ID is for states that collect sales tax. So you get a hold of your Department of Taxation and fill out a simple form and get your tax ID. This allows and requires you to collect sales taxes on the items that you sell, and then you remit that money back to the state whenever it's required for your type of designation. An EIN number is also for tax reporting purposes, and it's a national number, so you will need that if you hire employees. Some banks require an EIN number. And if you don't want to use your Social Security number as identification, then you'll need an EIN. So check to see which one you want, which one you should go for, and get it. They're both easy to do. It's just one step to do it. And I think in most states neither one costs money. And then the next thing you have to do is, if you decide that you are going to have sole proprietorship, you need to get a DBA, which stands for Doing Business As, and that is for any business that isn't using your real name. So if your name is Susie Smith and your business is called Salty Soaps, then you would need to get a DBA, unless you make a corporation. Also, you need to get a checking account in your business name. Right from the beginning, get a checking account and keep your business and your household income separate. And all your payments and everything from your business come out of your business, and leave your household funds alone. It's very important to do. Okay, so also, not everybody does this, but it is a good idea, and I suggest planning this. You want to check with an attorney and an accountant. An accountant will help you figure out your bookkeeping and accounting, figure out which method would be good for you, and get you set up. And they can give you advice on the tax ramifications of any business designations that you choose, like whether you do a sole proprietorship or a corporation, and which type of corporation. And then if you see this is hard to say. And if you see an attorney will help you also with the incorporation, and they will help you to make sure that you comply with everything you need to legally, and they will drop any contracts that you might need and other forms of advice that's important to a business. And it's something that should not be ignored. Even, we want to start things on a shoestring, and it's understandable, but if you're going to be smart about what you're going to do, then you really need to take care of these matters and put the money into your business that should be in it. Also, you need to get insurance. It's important to have liability insurance when it comes to cosmetics, so make sure you get that. And it's also good to have property insurance, so that if something happens to your products, like in ingredients, like for instance, if you have a house fire, you will need insurance to cover that. Otherwise, you just lose it all, because your home insurance probably will not cover it. So don't leave insurance out of the picture. Make sure you get insurance. Now, something really important to do is to calculate your COGS, so that you actually calculate a realistic price that is profitable for your business. So COGS stands for cost of goods sold. And what it is you add up everything that it takes to make your product, such as your ingredients, any equipment, labels, wrapping, packaging, and labor. Don't forget labor. And you add all those up and figure out for each unit that you're selling how much it costs you to manufacture that unit. Now, the rule of thumb is to multiply that by 2 to come up with your wholesale price. And then if you think you're going to sell retail, then you will multiply that number by 2 to come up with a retail price. Now, this is not written in stone. It's a basic guideline. If you can get higher margins, by all means, do it. You'll need it. But this is a basic guideline to help make sure that you actually are profitable. Let me see. And then also think about a website. Now, not everybody has a website, but almost everybody does. You might think, well, I'm going to sell on Etsy. Do I really need a website? No, you don't at first, but you never know what places, like when you host your products on somebody else's page, you really never know what's going to happen with it. So it's wise to have your own website and drive traffic toward your website. Then if something happens with the site you're selling on, you're not out, and you get to keep your customer information, and so that if you lose your selling site, then you can still be in communication with your customers. You won't have to start over again. So I suggest a website if you possibly can. Now, with all these things, you might think you're ready to sell. There's one more really important thing to do, and that is to come up with a marketing plan. A marketing plan is how you plan to communicate what you have to your customers. So a marketing plan will help you figure out which way you're going to go to reach your customers. Now you already have their ideal customer information, so that's going to be a lot of help. But marketing budget and a marketing process will actually carry that out to fruition. So you know where to look on social media, you know where to advertise, and anything else to reach your customer. That's the last thing you need to put into place, and then you're ready to start your business. Good luck.